Most people don't realize this, but there's one room in your home that quietly shapes your fortune more than any other. It's not the entryway where good energy is welcomed. It's not the kitchen, often hailed as the heart of abundance. It's your bathroom, the one space we spend the least time in, and yet, it might be the single reason your money keeps slipping away. Your mind feels heavy, and your energy stays stuck no matter how hard you work to improve your life. What if I told you that a common bathroom setup, something as routine as the way you hang a mirror, leave a faucet dripping, or forget to close the toilet lid, could be turning your home into a magnet for bad luck? It sounds dramatic, but it's real. According to time-tested Feng Shui principles, the bathroom is one of the most vulnerable points in a home. It's where water flows out, and with it, so does energy, unless it's consciously managed. In Western homes, bathrooms are often designed for convenience and style, not energy flow. But Feng Shui isn't about style, it's about impact. That soft, constant drip from your faucet, that's more than wasted water. It's wealth draining bit by bit. The dim light above your mirror, it's not just poor lighting, it's the lack of fire energy to balance the bathroom's natural yin. And the mirror facing your toilet, that's not harmless reflection. It's energetic chaos bouncing negative flow right back into your space. These aren't metaphors, they're mechanics of energy. Invisible to the eye but deeply felt in your life. So before you invest in another productivity planner or another money mindset course, ask yourself, is your bathroom secretly sabotaging everything you're trying to build? Part 1. When water flows the wrong way, so does wealth. You may not hear it anymore. The gentle, constant drip of a faucet left unchecked. It becomes background noise. But in Feng Shui, it's more than an inconvenience. It's the sound of your wealth slowly leaving you, one drop at a time. Every home has water, but not every home honors water. In Feng Shui, water doesn't just represent life, it represents flow. The flow of money, the flow of opportunity, the flow of emotional clarity. So when that flow is blocked, misdirected, or leaking, it doesn't just stay in the pipes. It shows up in your life, in the bills you can't seem to get ahead of, in the job opportunities that slip through your fingers, in the sense of effort without return. Let's talk about what water is doing in your bathroom right now. Is the faucet tight, or is it dripping softly in the middle of the night? Are your drains clean and clear, or slow and foul-smelling? Is the toilet flushing with power or hesitating like it's exhausted? These small details speak a louder truth. Is your home holding on to abundance, or quietly letting it all go? In Western design, bathrooms are functional, efficient, private, but that very privacy can also make it the most forgotten space, both physically and energetically. And when we forget to care for a space where water exits, we also forget to care for where our energy escapes. A dripping faucet is more than a plumbing issue. It is a symbol of resources slipping away without notice. It's money leaking, peace draining, vitality falling drop by drop into silence. Now think bigger. A leaking pipe hidden beneath your sink doesn't just waste water. It creates a damp, yin-heavy environment. Yin energy in excess breeds stagnation. You'll feel it. A lingering fatigue when you step into the room. A dull heaviness that makes your morning routine feel like a chore. It doesn't matter how many affirmations you say in front of the mirror if the water behind it is literally draining away your intentions. Water is one of the 5 elements in Feng Shui, but unlike fire or metal, it's silent, subtle, and easy to ignore. And yet it governs prosperity like no other. Look at your bathtub. Is the water draining properly, or do puddles remain long after you've stepped out? Look at your toilet. If it flushes weakly or gurgles, it may signal energetic blockages. Look at the area under your sink. Are there signs of mold, moisture, a leak you meant to fix last season? What's happening in those pipes is often mirrored in your wallet and your clarity. A clogged drain is not just a physical inconvenience. It's an energetic metaphor for opportunities that never seem to go through. And let's not ignore the sound. Feng Shui considers sound a carrier of energy. A dripping faucet creates irregular, inconsistent sound frequencies that disturb both space and spirit. That plink, plink, plink in the middle of the night doesn't just irritate your sleep. It subtly fragments your focus, your confidence, and your ability to sustain momentum. You wake up tired, not from dreams, but from environmental stress your nervous system is quietly enduring. In many modern American homes, plumbing is out of sight, and so it's out of mind. But Feng Shui teaches us the opposite. What is hidden is often what matters most, especially in water systems, because where water flows, energy follows. That's why one of the most sacred acts in Feng Shui bathroom care is inspecting your water pathways. Not just for hygiene, but for harmony. So what can you do? First, walk into your bathroom not as someone brushing their teeth, but as someone reading the energy of their life. Listen, smell, observe. If there's a leak, fix it. Not next week. Now, tighten that faucet, replace that washer, call the plumber, treat every drop like currency because energetically it is. Next, inspect your drains. Do they move freely and quickly? If not, you're facing stuck chi. Pour boiling water mixed with white vinegar and sea salt down every drain once a week. This isn't just a cleaning tip, it's an energetic purge. It clears residue, not just of soap and hair, but of thoughts and habits that need to be released. When water flows cleanly, you'll feel it in your mindset too. Then there's the visual side. What color are your bathroom fixtures? Are they rusted, dulled, stained? Water that passes through damaged surfaces picks up that energy. And the same happens with your finances. If your systems for receiving and releasing money are corroded, you'll experience unnecessary loss. Keep your water points bright, clean, and whole. It sends a message, not just to the house, but to your subconscious. I respect the flow. Finally, be mindful of what you allow near the water. Do you leave piles of old products, expired bottles, or moldy sponges around your sink or tub? Clutter around water creates energetic congestion. Remove anything that no longer serves a purpose. Water should move surrounded by openness, not trapped by things you've forgotten or ignored. And here's something most people never consider: the temperature of your water. Cold water has a contracting energy. Warm water expands. As you begin your day, choose warmth. Let the first water that touches your skin in the morning be warm, not just for comfort, but for symbolic expansion. It sets the tone. You are choosing openness, flow, and release. You are commanding your energy to move forward, not freeze in place. In Feng Shui, we don't fear water, we revere it. Because water doesn't just clean, it remembers. It holds stories, energy, and intention. That's why sacred rivers have always mattered. That's why tears have weight. And that's why your bathroom deserves reverence, not neglect. If water is not flowing in your home, chances are neither is money, neither is peace. So take this as your quiet invitation to walk back into your bathroom tonight, not to brush your teeth, but to check the soul of your home. Tighten what's loose, clear what's blocked, respect what flows. Because when water flows the wrong way, wealth doesn't just wait, it walks away. Part 2. A misplaced mirror can reflect the future you don't want. It's just a mirror, right? A flat, reflective surface. We use it every day without thinking, brushing teeth, fixing hair, checking our face before heading out the door. But what if I told you that mirror, depending on where it's placed, could be shaping more than your appearance? What if it's reflecting the very energy you've been trying to escape? In Feng Shui, mirrors are not neutral objects. They are energetic amplifiers. They bounce, they redirect, they duplicate, and when placed correctly, they can invite light, open up space, and attract flow. But when placed carelessly, they can trap you in a cycle of stagnant energy, repeated misfortune, and emotional heaviness, especially when they sit in the bathroom. Let's start with a scenario so common, most people don't even question it. A mirror facing the toilet. Perfectly symmetrical, convenient for design, but energetically it's a trap. Why? Because toilets are considered energetic exit points. They carry away waste, toxins, old energy. That's their job. But when a mirror directly faces the toilet, it doesn't let that exit happen cleanly. Instead, it reflects that energy, amplifies it, pushes it right back into the room. Imagine trying to rid yourself of what no longer serves you, only to have it bounce back every time you flush. That's not symbolic. That's energetic feedback. It creates an echo of negativity. You may not consciously notice it, but your body and mind do. A subtle tension when you enter the room. A quiet discomfort when you catch your reflection while the toilet is in view. Over time, it builds. You begin to associate the space with unease, even if you don't understand why. And that unease follows you into your day, into your sleep, into your sense of self, because mirrors aren't just about reflection. They're about projection. They project your energy forward. And when they're reflecting something as energetically heavy as a toilet, they project back what should have been released. Now let's talk about cracked mirrors, foggy mirrors, smudged mirrors. It might seem like a minor aesthetic issue, but in Feng Shui, a damaged or dirty mirror is a distortion field. You're not seeing yourself clearly. You're seeing a fragmented version, a delayed or altered reflection. And that symbolism matters. Because how we see ourselves shapes how we act, and how we act determines what we attract. If every morning you look into a foggy or cracked mirror, you're reinforcing uncertainty. You're starting your day in distortion. What's more, mirrors in the bathroom often reflect more than the toilet. They reflect clutter on the sink, towels hung in a rush, unused products collecting dust. And remember, whatever the mirror sees, it duplicates. So if your mirror faces chaos, it's doubling that chaos in your energetic field. It's not about perfection, it's about clarity. And when your mirror reflects intentional design, fresh towels, clean surfaces, soft light, it returns that energy to you. Calm, brightness, order. Here, another layer, placement across from the bathroom door. If your bathroom mirror directly reflects the door, it may be sending energy straight back out, rejecting it before it even enters the room. Feng Shui teaches that bathrooms naturally release energy. That's fine, as long as the energy is allowed to leave. But a mirror facing the door creates a rebound, a situation where new opportunities come knocking but bounce back before they can settle. So what can you do if your mirror is already in place and the setup isn't ideal? First, if your mirror faces the toilet and can be moved, move it. Even a slight angle shift can redirect energy. If you can't move it, consider placing a small divider or decorative screen between the mirror and the toilet. It doesn't have to be large, just enough to interrupt the reflection. That small act changes the direction of the energy. It tells your space, this is a boundary, this is no longer a loop. Second, clean your mirror, not just for dust, but as a ritual. Use a natural glass cleaner or warm water with a pinch of sea salt. As you wipe, set an intention. May this mirror reflect clarity, peace, and abundance. It might sound poetic, but energy responds to awareness, and this small act can shift your experience of the room entirely. Third, keep the reflection beautiful. Let the mirror see something that lifts your spirit. A small plant, a framed print, a candle. Something that represents light, life, and order. When you look in the mirror and see not just yourself, but calm surrounding you, your nervous system relaxes. You step out of fight or flight. You move into ease, and from ease, good things grow. Lastly, understand that mirrors are energy tools. Don't treat them as neutral. Just like you wouldn't hang a knife above your bed, don't leave a mirror facing something that drains you. The intention behind placement is everything. A well-placed mirror can bounce light into dark corners, invite movement into stale spaces, and reflect wealth into your awareness. But a poorly placed one can reflect waste, conflict, and confusion, day after day. Your home speaks to you whether you listen or not, and the bathroom mirror, it might be whispering, "This is why you feel stuck." So today, pause, look, really look. What is your mirror reflecting back to you? And more importantly, what kind of future is it silently showing you every single day? Part 3, dim light, heavy air, the space where yang is missing. You don't need to be an energy healer to sense it. Step into a dim bathroom and your shoulders naturally sink. You breathe a little shallower. You don't know why, but the room feels heavier, quieter, slower. It's not just the lack of brightness. It's the absence of life force, of what Feng Shui calls yang energy. And when yang is missing, so is vitality. Bathrooms are inherently yin-dominant spaces. They hold water, moisture, and stillness. They're where we release, cleanse, and forget. That's their purpose. But when that yin becomes too strong, when darkness lingers, humidity builds, and air stops moving, the room becomes energetically stale. And in a home already battling stress, fatigue, or financial pressure, this stagnant pocket becomes a silent anchor that pulls everything down. Let's start with the light. What kind of bulbs are in your bathroom? Are they cold white, harsh, clinical, or dim and yellowing with age? Many bathrooms in modern homes use lighting meant only for function, enough to shave or brush your teeth, but not enough to energize. Feng Shui views lighting not just as illumination, but as activation. Light is yang. It lifts, it moves, it warms. And when your bathroom lacks it, the yin takes over. Emotionally, this shows up as irritability, sluggish mornings, a sense that you wake up tired even when you've slept. Your body feels the imbalance before your mind names it. Imagine stepping into a softly lit room where the mirror glows gently and shadows are kept to a minimum. That's not luxury, that's Feng Shui at work, and it's more accessible than you think. Start by replacing any cold fluorescent bulbs with warm white LED lights, around 3,000 to 3,500 Kelvin. These simulate daylight without being overpowering. They create an environment your nervous system can relax in. Not too yellow, not too blue, just enough to balance the natural yin of the space. But lighting isn't just about color, it's also about direction and clarity. Is the overhead light harsh and centralized, casting awkward shadows on your face? Or does it softly bounce across the room, creating a sense of openness? If possible, add a secondary source, like a vanity strip or wall sconce near the mirror. Not only does this improve visibility, it disperses energy evenly, which in Feng Shui terms means flow is restored. And here's a detail most people miss: the condition of your bulbs, flickering, fading, delayed when you flip the switch. These are more than technical issues, they're symbols of interrupted energy. Just as a dying flame can't warm a room, a struggling bulb can't hold energy. Replace it immediately. This small act sends a message to your subconscious. I choose clarity, I choose flow, I choose light. Now let's talk air. How does your bathroom smell when you walk in? Is there a light freshness or a musty undertone? If air is heavy or damp, you're breathing in stagnation. And this doesn't just affect comfort, it affects mindset. According to Feng Shui, bathrooms with poor ventilation trap yin energy. The result? Sleep that doesn't restore, thoughts that loop. A home that feels tired no matter how much you tidy up. That's because air, like light, is a carrier of qi. And when it's unmoving, so is your life. If your bathroom has a window, open it daily, even in winter, even just for 5 minutes. Let fresh yang energy enter. If there's no window, run an exhaust fan for 15-20 minutes after each use. Not just to remove steam, but to invite movement into stillness. Movement is life. In homes where people feel stuck, in jobs, relationships, or decisions, there is often a common thread. The air doesn't move enough. Take it further. Add a small essential oil diffuser using oils that uplift and clarify, like eucalyptus, lemon, or cedarwood. These scents are not just pleasant, they stimulate the energetic field of the room. Or place a small dish of baking soda with a few drops of lavender oil behind the toilet. It's subtle, but it works. Feng Shui is not always about big rearrangements. It's about small alignments that build momentum. Look up, what do you see? Is your ceiling clean or spotted with old moisture stains, mold, dust? In Feng Shui, the ceiling represents heaven energy, what we receive from above. A stained ceiling in a bathroom suggests clouded guidance, a difficulty in accessing vision or spiritual support. Clean it, repaint it if needed. Even the act of tending to the ceiling resets your relationship with what's over your head. Suddenly, you're not just someone under pressure. You're someone reclaiming space and lifting your energy upward. Don't overlook the floor. Dark, cold tiles absorb energy and rarely reflect it. They ground, but they can also suppress. Add a soft, light-colored mat, something absorbent, clean, and inviting. In Feng Shui, your feet are your roots. How you step into the day sets the tone for everything. Stepping onto warmth instead of chill can change your emotional temperature within seconds. And finally, check for corners that feel dead. These are spots behind the door, under the sink, or between shelves where light and air never seem to reach. They're where dust accumulates, where hair gathers, where things fall and get forgotten. These are pockets of dormant energy, and they need to be cleared. Wipe them down. Place a small salt bowl in one, or a citrine crystal if you're energetically inclined. Light a candle nearby, just for a few minutes a day. These small rituals are not superstition, they're signals. They say, this space matters, I see you, I choose light. Because ultimately, Feng Shui is about making your home a partner in your well-being. When your bathroom is dark, stagnant, and neglected, it's not just a room, it becomes a symbol of burnout, of forgetting yourself, of living in maintenance mode. But when you bring light into it, actual light, scented light, energetic light, you don't just brighten a space. You brighten your path. Part 4, mold and odor, signs of energy that's trapped and rotting. You walk into the bathroom and the air feels off. It's not always strong, not always offensive, but it's there. A musty undertone, a lingering dampness. You might spray an air freshener or light a candle and move on. But according to Feng Shui, what you're sensing is more than an unpleasant smell. It's the signal of trapped, decaying energy. And it's not just staying in the bathroom, it's touching everything in your life. Mold and odor are not just cleaning issues. They are energetic red flags. In Feng Shui, the presence of mold represents yin energy that has stagnated so long, it has begun to rot. Odor is the scent of that process, a vibration in the air telling you that energy is no longer moving, no longer nourishing. And when that happens in the bathroom, the most naturally yin space in your home, it becomes a breeding ground for energetic illness. Let's be clear. Bathrooms are where we release what no longer serves us. That's healthy. But when what we've released lingers in the form of moisture, mildew, or bad air, we unconsciously invite that heaviness to reattach itself to us. You might not notice the difference at first, but over time, you may find yourself feeling unmotivated, waking up groggy, or constantly cleaning yet never feeling clear. That's the effect of stale qi, stuck life force that accumulates in hidden corners and invisible air. Now think about how mold forms slowly, quietly in places we don't look, behind a cabinet, under a bath mat, inside the grout lines, exactly the way low-level anxiety or sadness builds when we ignore the little things. Your environment becomes a mirror for your emotions. The more dampness and darkness you tolerate in your space, the more heaviness you invite into your thoughts. And here's the deeper danger. Mold doesn't just represent decay. It feeds on what is not alive. It colonizes stagnation. In Feng Shui terms, this translates into blocked blessings. It creates what's called dead kai, energy that no longer contributes to your life, but instead weighs it down. This is not just symbolic. Studies show that poor air quality, especially in bathrooms, impacts sleep, mood, and immune response. What you breathe matters, and what you allow to grow unnoticed in your home matters even more. So how do you break the cycle? First, stop masking. Scented sprays, heavy candles, and plug-in deodorizers don't solve energetic rot. They cover it, and in Feng Shui, covering what needs to be cleared is one of the most harmful energetic habits. Instead, remove, scrub, expose. Pull the shower curtain back and look behind it. Move the trash bin and clean underneath. Run your fingers along the tile edges and see what comes up. It may be uncomfortable, but that's where change begins. Next, address humidity. This is where the battle with mold starts. If your bathroom doesn't have a fan, install one. If it has a fan, clean it. Make it a daily ritual to run it for 15-20 minutes after every shower or use. If windows exist, open them, even in winter. Air that doesn't move is air that rots. Add a small bowl of baking soda or activated charcoal to corners that tend to feel heavy or smell damp. These aren't gimmicks. They are tools that absorb what you no longer need to carry. Now go deeper. Inspect for invisible sources. That drip beneath the sink you forgot about, that rust ring around a pipe, that bath mat that stayed damp for days. Each of these is a message. Something here isn't circulating. Replace old towels with ones that dry quickly and fully. Switch plastic mats for absorbent cotton ones you can launder weekly. Touch every surface and ask, is this holding freshness or holding decay? And yes, pay attention to scent, but do it consciously. Essential oils like eucalyptus, tea tree, lemon, or peppermint are natural purifiers. Add them to a diffuser or create a simple spray with distilled water. Mist the corners. Under the sink. Behind the toilet, not just to make it smell better, but to signal that air in this space is meant to move, to renew, to restore. That every breath here feeds life, not mold. What about mold that's already visible? Don't delay. Clean it with a blend of white vinegar, baking soda, and warm water. Not just because it's unsightly, but because it holds a vibrational heaviness. And more importantly, trace it to its source. Is a pipe leaking behind the wall? Is condensation forming because of poor insulation? In Feng Shui, you don't just treat symptoms, you locate and heal the root. That's how energy flows again. Let's talk trash, literally. Many bathrooms have open or overflowing trash bins, often tucked under the sink or next to the toilet. This is a silent energy trap. In Feng Shui, trash represents what you've already decided to release. When it lingers, it holds back space for what's new. When it's exposed, it spreads energetic residue. If your trash doesn't have a lid, get one. If it's large and only emptied once a week, downsize it and empty it daily. Clean the bin itself with lemon water. These may seem like small acts, but in energy work, small acts done with attention shift everything. There's also an emotional layer here. Many people avoid deep cleaning the bathroom not out of laziness, but emotional fatigue. The bathroom is a symbolic space. It holds our most vulnerable rituals. And the presence of mold or odor can trigger feelings of failure, shame, or being dirty in ways we don't even articulate. That's why reclaiming it matters so much. Every time you scrub a wall, air out a room, or clear a corner, you are telling yourself, I am allowed to release. I am allowed to be clean. I am allowed to breathe. Feng Shui doesn't treat the home as separate from the self. The two are one. And if your bathroom holds rot, your body will start to echo that decay in fatigue, confusion, or apathy. But if your bathroom becomes a place of freshness, clarity, and gentle air, you will feel it in your bones, in your choices, in your future. So tonight, open that door and step in, not with dread, but with presence. Smell the air, find the source, let the light in. Because what's growing in your bathroom isn't just mold. It might be the unspoken story of how long you've waited to feel clear again. Part 5, an open toilet lid, the unseen gate where fortune escapes. It's the easiest habit in the world. Flush, walk away, lid still open. You've probably done it hundreds, maybe thousands of times. It's convenient, it's automatic. And it might also be the single most underestimated energy leak in your entire home. In Feng Shui, the toilet is not just a functional object. It is an energetic gateway, a powerful exit point. Every time you use it, you are not only releasing physical waste, but symbolic waste as well. Stress, fatigue, emotional heaviness. But here's what most people don't realize. If that gateway is left wide open, what escapes may not stop at the waist. It can also take your fortune, your focus, and your peace along with it. Let's break this down. The bathroom is already a yin-heavy space. It holds water, shadows, and stillness. The toilet amplifies that yin tenfold. It is literally a vortex. When you flush, a strong downward pull is created, air and water are displaced, pressure shifts, and energy is physically drawn away from the room. That's the intended function. But when the lid is left open, this energetic vacuum doesn't just pull from inside the bowl. It pulls from the entire room. Whatever positive energy may have been cultivated, fresh air, natural light, warmth, gets siphoned into that opening and flushed away. Now think about how many times you flush per day. Think about how many times that lid stays open. Multiply that by weeks, months, years. It becomes a pattern of unconscious release, not the good kind, the draining kind. This is where Feng Shui becomes less of a philosophy and more of a quiet reality. You are letting good energy leave your home without even realizing it. You're opening a portal every time you forget to close that lid. It's not just about qi either. Let's talk air quality. Flushing with the lid open releases microscopic particles into the room, moisture, bacteria, and waste-based aerosols. This is not spiritual theory. This is science. Multiple studies have confirmed that flushing with the lid open can spread contaminants over 6 feet in every direction. That means your toothbrush, your towels, even the air you breathe could be affected by something you meant to flush away. The physical blends into the energetic here. If your bathroom is where you begin and end each day, what kind of subtle message are you sending to your body and mind when that space is filled with invisible, chaotic discharge? Let's go even deeper. In Feng Shui, open lids symbolize unsealed endings. Energy that should have been closed but instead lingers. It's a metaphor that plays out in real life. Unfinished projects, conversations that never resolved, plans that feel constantly in motion but never land. That one simple habit, leaving the toilet lid open, can ripple outward into a pattern of incomplete cycles. You might start strong but not finish. You might intend to save but keep spending. You might feel productive but never fully accomplished. That's the power of symbolic reinforcement. It trains your energy to stay open-ended. And what about appearance? An open toilet lid, even in a clean space, subconsciously signals disorder. It's not just unappealing, it's unsettling. The mind craves closure, completion, visual harmony. When a lid is closed, it frames the toilet as finished, sealed, resting. When it's open, it reads as active, even if unused. That unsettled feeling doesn't leave the bathroom. It follows you into the rest of your day. It becomes the low hum of distraction you can't name. So what's the fix? It's almost laughably simple. Close the lid every time before you flush, after you flush. Always make it a ritual, a practice. A conscious pause that says, I choose to seal what no longer serves me. You don't need crystals or expensive renovations. You need awareness, and you need consistency. Want to amplify the effect? Place a small symbol of earth energy, like a round, neutral-colored stone, on the back of the tank. Earth balances water in the 5 elements theory, grounding the movement and preventing excess. You can also affix a discrete sticker or pattern in yellow or beige to the lid, colors that absorb and stabilize qi. These aren't decorative tricks. They're intentional enhancements based on thousands of years of energy wisdom. And if your bathroom is connected to sensitive areas, like the bedroom or kitchen, this practice becomes even more important. Energy moves through proximity. An open toilet lid near where you sleep or cook doesn't just affect the bathroom. It creates a field of unrest that stretches into places meant for nourishment and restoration. Keep the lid closed, especially at night, to preserve the stillness of the home. Some people resist this advice. It's just a toilet, they say. I don't feel any different. That's okay. Feng Shui doesn't demand belief, it reflects patterns. Try it for a week, close the lid every time. Pay attention to how your mornings feel. Notice whether small frustrations begin to ease. Whether your thoughts feel more grounded. Whether your energy at home starts to linger longer instead of scattering by noon. Because here's the deeper truth. In a world where so much feels out of control, where we chase clarity and peace like distant rewards, this one habit gives you a small, sacred choice. To close, to complete, to keep what is valuable and flush away only what truly needs to go. So the next time you reach for the handle, remember, an open lid isn't harmless, it's a gate. And whether fortune flows in or out might come down to whether you choose to close it. Final, we don't usually think of the bathroom as a sacred space. It's where we rush, where we throw towels over racks, wipe foggy mirrors in a hurry, flush and forget. But maybe it's time we see it differently, not as the least important room in the house, but as the most honest. Because it's here in this quiet, tiled corner of our lives that everything we no longer need is let go. And how we treat that release, the way we manage water, light, air, and boundaries, says more about our relationship with energy than we realize. Feng Shui isn't magic. It doesn't promise instant fortune or guaranteed transformation. What it offers is something quieter, more enduring, a framework for noticing, for understanding that your home doesn't just reflect your life, it shapes it. The dripping faucet that wears away your calm, the mirror that reflects what should have been released, the stagnant air that makes your body feel older than it is, the open toilet lid that slowly siphons away more than just waste. These aren't just flaws in design. They're patterns, habits of letting things go unattended, unresolved, unclosed. What shifts when you begin to tend to them is subtle but unmistakable. You feel lighter, clearer. Less like life is leaking out from under you, and more like energy is finally staying where it belongs, inside your space, supporting your purpose, lifting your days. There is no perfect bathroom, no flawless Feng Shui, but there is awareness. And with awareness comes choice. Not grand, sweeping change, but simple, daily reverence for the energy you live in. Because even the smallest shift, a light bulb changed, a mirror cleaned, a lid closed, can start to reverse the current. So tonight, as you turn off the lights and prepare to rest, ask yourself quietly, what part of me is ready to be sealed, so that something new can begin to flow in?